trying to be involved in how to be Mekarev, how to be Machzor B'tshuva. So let's first try to understand what is the yesod of being Chozer B'tshuva. Why is anybody Chozer B'tshuva? The yesod is one basic thing about Chazor B'tshuva. Every person is built on contradicting himself. A person is full of contradictions. Why does a person contradict himself? Because a person is built from two things. He has a Yetzer Tov and he has a Yetzer Hara. And the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara are always contradicting each other and always fighting each other. Every Chazorah B'tshuva comes from a certain nekuda where his Yetzer Tov had a certain isoirus, certain thing that kindled something in his Yetzer Tov. So to understand what is this kindling, we have to first understand what does it mean Yetzer Tov and what does it mean Yetzer Hara. What are we talking about? Rabbi Yisrael in the Geras HaMusar explains there are two shittas what Yetzer Tov is and two shittas what Yetzer Hara is. The first shitta, what Yetzer Tov means, is what you call the conscious level of a person. His understanding of right and wrong. It's built in the person a certain consciousness of wanting to do what is right. The seichel of a person, his das, tells him do what is right. On the other hand, a person is built with the yearning for certain materialistic things. He has his mind and he has his body. The mind tells a person, do what is right. Your conscience tells you, do what is right. And the chomer, the materialistic part of you, says, do what is now enjoyable, where you can now have your pleasure. That is one shita, what Yetzer Tov means and what Yetzer Hara means. There is another shita. The Yetzer Tov is the neshama, the koyach hakdusha that a person has. A person has a yearning to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On the other hand, a person has a Yetzer Hara, the koyach that a person wants to do evil, the koyach of tumah in a person. And Rabbi Yisrael says that both are true. There are two parts of the Yetzer Tov, and there are two parts of the Yetzer Hara. So when we're dealing with tshuva, which is kindling this contradiction the person has, where at one point the Yetzer Tov becomes stronger and wants to do tshuva, we have to understand what Yetzer Tov we're dealing with and what Yetzer Hara we're dealing with. And both are true, and they're different kufas, different eras. Sometimes the Yetzer Hara of the koyach hara is greater, so then we have to kindle the koyach hakdusha, the neshama. In other eras, the koyach hachomer is stronger. We have now to kindle the conscious level of the person. We have to talk about different kufas, also different kufas of Chazorah B'tshuva. There's also a very important thing to understand. From the Gemara Avodah Zarah, it says that chet of minus, apikursus, is much harder to do tshuva. And the reason is, like the Maral is masber in the Siva tshuva, since every tshuva is built on the contradiction that a person has, when a person justifies in his seichel, in his consciousness, that I'm doing the right thing, it makes it much harder to be machzer b'tshuva, because he doesn't feel the contradiction. He is justifying what he's doing wrong. What is wrong, he says, is right. When a person deep down in his heart knows he's not right, but he goes after his Yetzer Hara, it is much easier to be machzer him b'tshuva. So we always have to understand what era we are living in and what is the ruach of the world of that day. So let's go back to the beginning of the tshuva movement, which started after the 6-Day War. What was the kindling then of the Yetzer Tov that brought back the movement of tshuva? What happened in the 6-Day War? What awakened then? The consciousness of being a Jew, the koisel, the miracles that happened in the 6-Day War, the feeling that I'm a Jew. What was the problem before the 6-Day War? People were coming like Goyim. What was the point of being a Jew? The Goyim controlled the world. There was a Holocaust. What's the value of being a Jew today? Let's be like the Goyim. The whole Reform Jew movement was all built, let's be like the Goyim. There was anti-Semitism, let's be like Goyim. What was the dream of every Reform Jew? Getting into that country club, that fancy country club, that Jews are barred from that country club. And if I get into that country club, that means I'm a success. The Goyim accepted me. I no longer feel inferior because I am a Jew. I'm in that country club. What happened in the 6-Day War? A Jew became so important. Look at the miracles that happened. The koisel was, again, given to us. What did that do? I'm proud to be a Jew. I no longer feel inferior to the Goyim. And that started the tshuva movement. Something kindled, something was nisoyer. And from that, the whole tshuva movement came. But what is our problem today? Is our problem we feel inferior to the Goyim? No, that's not the problem today. The problem today is the materialistic world, the permissive world of today. The person no longer feels that he's at Tzelem Elokim. He no longer understands there's a musig of an Adam Dikdusha. The psychologist made a person into an animal with a higher IQ. And let's go how the movement, how this all happened. When psychology became more and more, it became the value of a human being came less and less as an Adam Dikdusha. Then became, do what you want. That started in the 1960s. When did the hippie movement start? Until the end of the Second World War, there was a certain type of culture in the world. There's a certain establishment. How do you act correctly? How do you act ethically? And that was the European culture. After the Second World War, when America took the leadership of the Western world, and the European culture was no longer the force in the so-called Western world, and America took the leadership, it was still an official establishment. But the children saw the parents were not true. Officially, they were supposed to be ethical, but the children knew the parents were not. The official world was not corrupt, but everybody was very corrupt. The children saw that. And they said, why be hypocrites? Let's be true to ourselves. We'll act like behemoths because we are behemoths. Psychologist says we are animals with intelligence. So why play games? Let's act like we really are. We'll dress like behemoths, we'll act like them because that's what we are. No longer being hypocrites. But that movement didn't last too long, generally speaking. Why was that? Because people still had a consciousness to themselves. They felt they are not really behemoths. We are human beings. We have to act like human beings. And the Tshuva movement was continuing then. It was able to work well to that degree. But now what happened in our day, the day we're living today? The materialistic world wasn't to be a behemoth. The liberalistic world of today made it fine and right and proper to do what you want to do. That is what liberalism is all about. When democracy made liberalism into a religion and to something that justified, whatever you want to do, do. Not because it's wrong, not because you don't have the power to overcome it, but that is right. Liberalism is a religion. And that is what is right to do. The laws have to be liberal. So that makes it much harder to do tshuva. Because it's justified. It's justified. Do what you want. Everything is hefker. Everything is permissive. That's what we're all about. Liberal. The laws of the country become liberal. Everything becomes justified. There's no right, there's no wrong. Psychologists can't even treat certain things were considered always very wrong, very immoral. It's a law, you can't treat it even, because everybody can do what they want to do, if that's what they think democracy means. So then it becomes very, very difficult to be machzer b'tshuva, because it's justified. You don't feel the contradiction. As long as you feel the contradiction, there's what to do. When you don't feel the contradiction, people justify what they're doing. How could you be machzer b'tshuva? It makes it much, much harder. But what is still the derech? So here we have to realize, there's two parts of the Yetzer Toiv, two parts of the Yetzer Hara. Still, even if you justify immorality, but still, deep down, there's still a nekuda, there's a point where the person still has his consciousness. All these things are really against the basic tendency of the consciousness of a person. Deep down, there's still a neshama there. There's still what to do. But it has to be nis'orer. It's harder to be ma'oret because they have to go deep down. As long as a person realizes he's contradicting himself, so then it's much easier to ma'orer this koyach. But when you justify it with liberalism, it's much harder. But it's still possible to do. And I think the way to do it, I was once in Buenos Aires. I was there for Shabbos. And I was in a kehila that 95% of the kehila were Bali Tshuva. And they were Bali Tshuva and very normal and very good. You don't see anything different about them. So I asked the Rav of the kehila, what did you do to be machzor them b'tshuva? What did you do? He says, I did nothing. I just invited them for a Shabbos to my home. He had a beautiful home, beautiful children, a warm, lovely home. It was shining of the warmth and the goodness, the chesed that was there. Said that all he has to do. These people live lives like behemoths mamish. And they come to his home on Shabbos, and they see the beauty of his home. That turns them on. That is, I think, a secret of what to do today. When people are so immoral today, and so much living not such a life of so unethical. When you have this problem of liberalism versus ethics, you have to show them the dugma. What it means to be a real shemer Torah mitzvahs. What it means to live a real ethical life. What does it mean, musariyut? To be really a good person. Not just acting a good person. It was in the 1960s, the ethics was nothing, just act, kapichutz, outwardly. But to show inwardly what we are, really good people, interested in doing good, interested in carve somebody to make his life better. Because we are good, we want to do good things. Showing this dogma. That, I think, is the secret today, what to do. Because we have to go deep down. And we have to feel that deep down there's something lacking. This liberalism is wrong. This materialistic life is wrong. That's not what we're built for. We weren't created for that. We were created to do something much better, much higher. We are not behemoths. We are tzelem Elokim. We are Na'odam Dikdusha. And we have to show this. We have to show this. We have to act really that way. We have to become that way ourselves. And the more we come that way, we will be that way. Now the Moshe, the Dubna Magid, what does it mean to be mashpia? It says you have to fill the glass until it spills over. The more we are really good ourselves, the more we take into ourselves Torah, Yerushalayim, Chesed, and it overflows. That is the secret. When we go to be makar of people, they should see that it's real. Chas v'sholom, we're not hypocrites. And we show them what it means to be good, what it means to be moral. It overflows. That's what hashpah means. To overflow from this. to build our homes to be beautiful homes, an example of what it means to be good, then we're going a very, very strong way. And the person of Isaac and Kirov, the more he works on himself first, to make his insights, his pnimius, more and more true and real, then it shines to show what it means to be taka shem Torah mitzvahs, what it really means. And that will work. Because the people today, deep, deep down, they understand something is really wrong. They're justifying themselves with liberalism. But deep, deep down, there's what to do. And if we can touch that nekuda, where the deep down, they have still the conscious level. Deep down, they still have a neshama. They still have a yearning for kedusha. They have a conscious level that this is all this behemoth life is not right. With that, I think we could be mekarev and do a lot. Understanding what it means to be mekarev a person. Kol hamatzol nefesh achas, bono olam kuloi. What it means every yid, every neshama of a yid, to be magzer b'tshuva. And the doiros after him, his children, and so forth. But Hashem should be all be zoiche, to be able to be mekarev and be magzer b'tshuva, and have the siyata d'shmaya, or be able to work on ourselves, and through that to be mekarev more and more people to be magzer them b'tshuva.